The frightful suspicion that I was become drained returned upon me with redoubled force. Meantime, this awful stranger, inexplicably linked to my distress, stood drying himself at the funnel, and ever, as the steam rose from his clothes, diffusing a mist around him, I saw through the ghostly medium all the people I have mentioned, and a scare more sacred and profane. I am conscious of a dreadful inclination that stole upon me, as it thundered and lightened, to grapple with this man or demon and plunk him out of sight. But I constrained myself, I know not how, to speak to him, and in a pause of a stone I crossed the deck and said, "What are you?" He replied hoarsely, "A model." "A what?" said I. "A model," he replied. I set to the profession for a book per hour. All through his narratives I give him his own words, which I deliberately printed on my memory. The relief which this disclosure gave me, the exquisite delight of the restoration of my confidence in my own sanity, I cannot describe. I should have fallen on his neck, but for the consciousness of being observed by the man at the wheel. "You win," said I, shaking him so warmly by the hand that it wrung the rain out of his coat cuff. "Are the gentlemen whom I have so quickly complained in connection with a high black chair with a red cushion and a table with twisted legs?" "I am that model," he rejoined moodily, "and I wish I was anything else." "Say not so," I returned. "I have seen you in the society of many beautiful young women, as in truth I had, and always, I now remember, in the act of making the most of his legs." "No doubt," said he. "And you've seen me along with walls of flowers and any number of table covers, antique cabins, and royal gammon?" "Sir," said I. "And royal gammon," he repeated in a louder voice. "You might have seen me in armor too, if you had looked sharp. Blessed if I hadn't stopped in half a suit of an armor as ever came out of Prince's shop, and sat for weeks together, eating nothing out of half a gold and silver dishes, as has ever been lent for the purpose of Strozes and Mortimers and Gardners and Devonportesses. Excited, as it appears, by a sense of injury, I thought he would never have found an end for the last word. But at length it rolled solely away with a thunder. "Pardon me," said I. "You are a well-favored, well-made man, and yet, forgive me, I find, on examination of my mind, that I associate you with what my recollection instinctively makes you, in short, excuse me, a kind of powerful monster." "It would be a wonder if I didn't," he said. "Do you know what my points are?" "No," said I. "My throat and my legs," said he. "When I don't set for a head, I mostly set for throat and a pair of legs. Now, granted you was a painter, I was work at my throat for a week together, and suppose you've seen a lot of lumps and bumps where it would never be wear at all, if you looked at me complete, instead of only my throat, wouldn't you?" "Probably," said I, surveying him. "Why, it stands to reason," said the model. "Work another week at my legs, and it'll be the same thing. You'll make 'em out as knotty and knobby at last as if they was a trunk of 2 old trees. Then take and stick my legs, throat on the other man's body, and you'll make a regular monster. Every way the public gets their regular monster every first Monday in May, when the Royal Academy exhibition opens." "You're a critic," said I, with an air of deference. "I'm in an uncommon ill humor, if that is," rejoined the model with great ingenuousness, "as if it weren't bad enough for about an hour for a man to be mixing himself up with that jolly old furniture, but I don't think the public knowed the very nails by this time, or to be putting on greasy old hats and cloaks and playing trembles in the bayou. Neighbors, the whistles of smoke in the corner to pattern the playground, and the rains of being wonderful in the middle distance, ought to be unpolitely kicking up his legs among a load of goats, and reason whatever in his mind but to show him, as if this weren't bad enough, and to go and be thrown out of employment too." "Surely no," said I. "Surely yes," said the Indian model, "but I'll grow on." The gloomy and threatening manner in which she muttered the last words can never be effaced from my remembrance. My blood ran cold. I asked of myself what it was that this desperate being was resolved to grow. My breast made no response. I ventured to implore him to explain its meaning. With a scornful laugh he uttered with dark prophecy, "I'll grow one, and mark my words, I shall haunt you." We parted in the storm, after I had forced half a crown of his acceptance with a trembling hand. he concluded that something supernatural happened to the steamboat, as it moored his reeking figure down the river, but it never got into the papers.